Hey, good morning, guys. Good morning,
Good
Facebook
morning.
family. Good morning, Livestream family. And hope great agents are having a great week. Welcome again to a wonderful time together to spend some time talking about some important things, ways of driving our business. Again, look on your screen. Here's this great gang of people who are here to help you, our broker support team, as we kind of work harder to get those 10,000 hours in, right, guys? And things are working well. I know we're all busy. Part of the conversation today, we wanted to kind of kick this off with regards to a checklist. We talk about a checklist in real estate. How organized are you as a real estate professional? How is it that when a listing goes pending, the question arises, well, what do I do next? And how do I make that transaction smooth from the time that we've signed everything until the time that all the documents are collected, until the time that we prepare for closing? And so I know we probably all have our own way of checking the boxes, making sure things are collected, making sure the conversations have started with the lender and the inspector and all of those things. But we thought it'd be really smart today just to kind of get a different perspective from all of us, because I think we all do it a little bit different in terms of what that has to look like and how we stay on track, how we stay organized. I've got two pros with me today. Obviously, Tracy Johnson, Kim Anderson. My goodness, it doesn't get any better than that, right? And again, I wanted to kind of kick this conversation off. Maybe Tracy, you can start a little bit with what you use and what works well with your team too, as you kind of stay organized.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the topic for today really was born out of a conversation that came into me from one of our new agents. It's like, oh my gosh, Tracy, I got an acceptance. Now what, right?
What,
I mean,
what do I do now? What do I do now? Right.
Exactly. And sometimes, like Don Phelan, some of his live streams are just literally ripped from the headlines, right? What kind of phone calls did I get this week where people got themselves into trouble? And so what I realized is that, I too was a new agent at one time. I remember calling to say, Greg, what is an EMD? I mean, he didn't laugh at me, which was great, but like such a basic thing, but you don't know what you don't know, right? And so when this agent called me, like, what a gift to be in a seated position to help somebody try to figure out, like, what do I do next? How do I help my client get, safely across the finish line with the least amount of problems? And so the idea of a checklist is to help you stay on top of your business. It's a way to give you a simple action plan, right? That tells you, what am I supposed to be doing? And so if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, could be things that you're not doing, right? So our goal is to help you become the pro. We use that word all the time, and that's our goal, to help you be a pro. Kim Anderson is our director of education. She is amazing. She has, this is probably, her checklists have evolved over the years, right? And the checklist could look a little bit different, even depending on the board that you're in. I know the board that I'm in is different than the boards you're in. And so the checklists I use are a little bit different for my team. I actually load them into dot loop and little check marks so that I can glance in from wherever I'm at to make sure things are getting done. But the importance of it is significant, because we don't want you to ever lose track of where you're at in the transaction. So that's kind of my thinking on it. And I know that Kim, you've got some thoughts on it as well.
Yeah, so we do our best to give you tools for different levels. I like seeing what Tracy does, because having that in dot loop, how many transactions a year with your team do you do approximately, Tracy? Do you know off the top of your head?
Probably around 50 in past years. Just depends on the year, but about 50.
Yeah. So when you have 50 transactions, understanding that a majority of them are probably done within 5 months of the year, 4 or 5 months, right? Technically. So it's really important to have a process. So we have, so hers being in dot loop is amazing, because that's how she can, check in on her team, see how they're doing. For agents who have been doing this a while, you'll probably really like Tracy's checklist. For the ones that I made, these are a little bit more detailed. They are 2 pages. I actually have a 4-page one that I train with for someone that's just a complete training tool. And then I sat down yesterday and I turned it into 2 pages. For instance, when I train new agents, you don't know what's next. Sometimes we get to the end of the transaction and the earnest money was never collected. So this is a little bit more detailed, but yet doable. It's 2 pages, so you could print it back, forward, backwards. So you just are carrying around, 1 piece of paper. I literally still do this myself because I have so many things going. Did my buyer drop off the earnest money? Did I schedule the inspections? Did they make loan application? All these things are in the contract, right? And as a new agent, how do I submit it? What's that mean? So there's just so many different pieces that are moving when you have your first transaction or second or fourth. So we have different opportunities for you that will work best for you. So I'm going to proof these and then post them in the classroom. I don't know if Tracy will be posting hers or not, but I just want to give you some ideas of some tools that we have that will help you once you go past.
Hey, Kim, can I say something really quick? I said, this
Sure.
feels like a really great check and balance system.
Yeah.
And again, how often do we get into a file? And I say, when we get into the file, sometimes we don't do that check and balance thing. Did I order this? What do I do first? What do I do second? This just makes it kind of simple, stupid for me, right? I know what I need to do. I check it off each and every time. And again, I just love the detail to this. So I want to really pay attention to what you've done. This is great.
Well, one thing that I find is really, really is important, and one of the very first things I learned when I became a new agent is that 10-day inspection period. Most of them are 10 days. West Michigan Regional GCAR, I'm not sure. And Tracy in the north, is it 10 days for inspections, or is it different?
I think that's kind of a general thing, but I think what we're finding in this market is everyone is shortening that time period. So
That's right.
It's even more critical to pay attention to dates and times than it ever has been before, just because time moves quickly.
Yep. And if we miss those inspections, one of the things I'll never forget in my mind is if you miss that inspection period, your buyer, and they didn't ask for repairs, your buyer just bought a home as is. It haunted me at night. It was on my calendar in red. 10 days, 5 days, 7 days, because more than ever, inspections are, we're waiving them a lot more in this market, but they are so important. And I didn't want to be responsible for that. So yes, these look like 2 pages and I have some in 4 pages, but they really are 20 years of just changing them, evolving them at whatever level that of detail you would like. So,
well, and most importantly, it's a way to keep yourself out of trouble. Right?
yes,
It's about representing your clients in the best way you know how. And when you're a new agent, you don't know the best way. But what we have is we have decades of years of experience of people behind you as a new agent that can help you stay out of trouble. The beginning part of this form that Kim has put together starts off with buyer information. Just know who are the parties in this? Who are your people, right? Who's the buyer? What's their email? What's the buyer's title company? What's the seller's title company? What date did you go pending? Who are the closing companies? Was there an EMD? How much was it? Did you collect it? Is there a home warranty? Did you offer your client a home warranty? I mean, sometimes it's just when you see it, it's like, well, I never talked to him about a home warranty. Well, that's okay. There's still time to do that, right? They could still purchase it. We didn't ask for it on the contract, but there's still an opportunity for that buyer to purchase that home warranty, right?
And so, as a new agent, Trace, as a new agent, sometimes you're not asking these questions. And the more answers you collect up front, the more questions you ask up front. This is all in bounds. It's not out of bounds. This is information you're going to need from the get-go, right from the start. So that's good.
Yep. We have one of our newer agents who I've really just been walking through her transaction with her. And she called yesterday and she's, had some hiccups. And that's okay, that happens. But the cool thing is that she's calling to say, okay, this happened, what do I do? And, when you're waiting on that clear to close and you're waiting and you're looking at that, close no later than date, that timeline is coming to a close, invite us in to have these conversations, right? You're watching your timelines. You've got your things filled out here. And again, don't ever lose track of where you're at, because if you have, you've taken your eye off the prize, which is the closing date.
And some of these, you wouldn't know the stories behind it, but say, for instance, I did leave the showing properties on here because as a new agent, you're like, what's a lockbox? How do I know where the lockbox is? Where do I get the closing instructions? I have on here, leave a business card. I've had those calls rarely, but I have had the calls where an agent calls me and says, your agent never showed up. The lights were still on. Nobody ever came. So if you leave a business card, the seller knows that you were there. Or they tracked mud all through my house. So take your shoes off. I mean, it's just very basic, but as a new agent, you might not know. Everybody is from a different background. Maybe in your home, you don't take your shoes off, right?
Right. Yep.
One time I didn't take my shoes off and we won the bid. And when we went back to the home inspection, they had a note, please remove your shoes. Please remove your shoes. So all of these things here, or like I also print my MLS when it's active with the photos, because once a refrigerator was switched out, there's a reason. So you have to decide how much detail do you want to have? How much risk do you want to avoid? So everybody has a different level, but we've just done some basics.
I like that, Kim, that you just said. So when you submit your offer with your purchase agreement and your disclosures and things, you include like a little 2 or 3 page thing with all the photos that were in the listing?
I don't include it, but I do download it in a PDF the day that we write it, drop it in the loop.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that if anything, because I print the listing ticket and have it initialed, but that just shows that the seller said that this, and this would be included in the sale.
Yeah.
But it doesn't show that it was a KitchenAid refrigerator and instead I got a
Yes.
whatever brand, a Bosch or whatever.
Well, I know
you're thinking, do people do that? Do they really switch out?
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
You know what else they do? So you love our war stories. One real quick one. They'll list a home with the finished lower level with 2 lower level bedrooms, right? So that makes it a 5-bedroom home instead of 4. So the value. Then when the well and septic get the reports are, the inspector goes out there, they switch it from a 5 to a 4 because now that means they need to enlarge their septic system. So all of these things over the years you learn, right? And so I've just learned that's a real common one. So they can change it, and yes, you can see it in the history, but I just like to have it where I'm not guessing. The other thing I was going to say about Tracy is like some of this information at the beginning, the way Tracy uses her system, all of this information at the beginning is already on your closing file checklist. So you don't need to have it. It's very similar to the closing file checklist. So that works really well with Tracy's just very generic check, 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 because all the information is already there. That's it right there.
That's the one in that loop. Yeah.
Yeah. And you won't be able to submit your loop without that. And bring that up. You might say, what do you mean submit a loop? You have to submit something, right? What do I do? They don't know what's there if you don't submit it. So these are just little checklists to bring up the conversation, like Tracy said, to bring us in and say, what's that mean?
Yeah.
What are
I think there's a lot of value in printing this though. When you're a new agent, it needs to be right here on your desk next to you. Every day you need to be looking at this and thinking about what I'm supposed to be doing. Where am I at? What are my tasks and duties that are coming ahead? And right now, I think that for a new agent, I think it would be best to meet Kim and Doug have both said they still print theirs today.
Yep.
The beauty of dot loop is if you're organized, and as we've talked to you about creating files and folders and systems, this is the time to do it when you're a new to industry. You don't have bad habits, right? Because everybody gets bad habits. But I would really urge people to print these. Keep them in dot loop, that's fine, but print them and look at them every day because
and then I put mine on the inside of every folder. Okay.
Look at that.
So that I can do that, right? But then, again, this shows you how long I've been in the business. Look at that mess. Okay. That's what you don't do, folks. That's what you don't do. You just go back to what's in the inside and you fill it in, and it's just simple, stupid. And if I can do that, anybody can do that because it just keeps you on track from beginning to end. And
that's great.
That's so important.
Well, one of the things I'm looking at here too, like I have in here additional inspections. Well, why, Kim? Well, you wouldn't know that a pool inspection is not part of a normal inspection. I was helping an agent the other day and I said, well, what happened? They have a problem with the pool. I said, well, what did your pool inspection report? Well, I didn't get one. Do you know they don't inspect chimneys? They don't inspect sprinkler systems, at least in our area standard, those are
Yeah.
extra. So we're just trying to trigger you for conversation. So I always say, no question is ever a dumb question. You know, we want you to ask the questions so that you, we wanted to trigger you to say, hey, Doug, what's that mean?
Yeah.
So we can have that conversation with you. Yep.
Yep. So Kim, where do we find checklists at?
Well, you'll find them in the resource center. We have some there, but most of them are in, actually, let me take that back. The checklists, we post them in 5-Star Classroom, which I will post these here. I just see one little thing I need to change. So I need to get just a really fresh proof on them, and I'll post mine there. And then we are loading them up into the resource center. But right now, everything that I have is on a virtual drive. Email me, kim@5starleaders.com, and I will just share it with you. The beauty of this is I will share this with you in the drive in a live form. So all you have to do is just go, Kim, I don't need every time to know showing properties. I know how to show properties. You can make a copy and you can delete that table and save it as your own, make a copy, rename it, and you can edit these and you can do whatever you want to do with them, which is the beauty of it, right? Maybe you, like, I have home warranty on there because you know how many times I went to a closing and I forgot to order the home warranty. So I have my little triggers, right? So that's why that's front and center for me, but that might not be for you, right? The other thing in here is some agents go, I just got this thing from title. What does that mean? What do I do with that? So these are just really a summary of the purchase agreement. Most purchase agreements are very similar, maybe different timelines, but just to help you to know, or maybe I just went to the closing. What do I do with my check now? Right? Where do I take that? So it gives you an opportunity to ask all the right questions. Yep.
Yeah.
Great. That's great.
So do we have questions out there yet? Anybody have any questions? We always welcome those. If there's not, you know, we just want you to know, maybe we are a little bit shorter today, but if you have any questions, pop those in the chat. But just know that these are available when you do go pending. These are here to aid you, to help you. I'm just looking here to see, like here it says pre-closing and closing, verify that the closing disclosure was signed. So when an agent's calling me and they're saying, well, you know, we're running through this hoop and this hoop and this hoop, and we hope to close tomorrow at 5, or I mean at 3, I go, was the closing disclosure signed? Because there's a 3-day waiting period for right of rescission to review. And so this will trigger that conversation with us is, what's a CD? What do you mean, did that go out, right? So you'll learn as you go. And anything else stick out to either of you that's on here that you say every single time? One more thing here, like they're on the offer, I always verify the tax information. You go, well, you say verify mapping information. I've had deals where they said it had 10 acres. And when I looked at the mapping, it was only 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that changes the price of the property, right? So all of these have little stories behind them, why we do what we do.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
and I love the fact that what you just said, if there's a part of this is as we all go through this as agents to be able to customize this for us, the trigger, the things that are important to us. It just puts it first and foremost right in front of us to say, oh, wait a minute, I didn't ask that, or I should follow up on that. Or those triggers are just so important because, as you said, Kim, we get so busy in this and we start thinking, oh my gosh, did I do that? Didn't I do that? Did I call the title person? Didn't I get the CD? All of those things. This is just a super smart roadmap to be able to kind of go through and just make sure that those things are taken care of. So again, great way to keep us organized, because most of us in real estate, right? Not the most organized people in the world, right? I don't know about you guys, but real estate people I meet, they're really good at what they do, but there's a part of the business that they're not so good at. And again, this is huge.
Yeah, and the good news is if you're not good at that stuff, that's totally okay. That's why we have this checklist for you. And at the end of the day, you get to make it your own, but the steps in the transaction never change.
Right.
And at the end of the day, they also don't change, but they don't end. So the last part on the checklist is after closing.
Yes.
And then after closing goes to what my post was early in the week. Do these steps follow up, follow up, follow up, repeat. Because after the closing, the relationship just nuances and changes to something different, but you want to keep that relationship going. And if you've done a great job for your clients, guess what? You'll get to meet their friends and you'll get to meet their family. So
Yeah.
I would just continue to encourage everyone to use a checklist. I mean, I even like the one Doug had. I mean, he has it right inside his folder. It's on his desk. It's with him. It's your Bible for that particular address for 123 Main Street. And then when you do when you do your second or third deal, your own list will sort of morph to what they're supposed to be based on kind of like who you are. They become your own personality.
Mhm. One thing that I do too is I print these, but I don't do all the details on here anymore. Like obviously I've shown enough properties. I don't need that section. Some of them are automatic, but I do use a program that is automated online and it syncs over to my calendar. And so the program I use is $20 a month. It's called Folio. It's by Amatree. If you want to go look it up, you can have 3 transactions for free. And so I only upgraded when I had more than 3 transactions and I paid for a year, which was a good problem to have, right? But you can make a template and then when I go pending, it says buyer under contract, seller, you give it some information and then I plug in, like it'll say pending date and then it'll go, how many days to home inspection? I go 10 and then it automatically plugs it into my calendar. So there are all kinds of different systems out there. I always say, what's the best system? The one you use, right?
Right.
The one you use. So whatever that is, if you don't want to carry around paper, like some of us, like Doug and I just see a video being made of Doug. It starts out with him and his manila folder and all his paper, evolving in life. And so there are programs that will do this for you online as well. Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. Anything else that anybody wants to add today?
No, go ahead and share those in the classroom. That'd be excellent. And then just to remind people that you can go into the classroom, you can go into Facebook Connect at any time, go up in the search button. If it's something you've heard about here or somewhere else before, just search, you'll find it. If you just type in, closing checklist or just checklist, it'll pop up. So
pop up for you. All right. Well, good to see everybody. I hope everybody has a wonderful Thursday. We're headed toward the weekend and hope everybody has a great day.
I'm going to take some ideas today, right now, from this.
All right.
I love it. So,
all right.
Great.
All right. See you guys.
Bye, gang. See ya.
All right.
have a great rest of the week.